Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. My name is Joe. I'm joined today by Casey and, of course, Andy Tate. How you doing, lads?
I'm alright, yeah.
I'm good, thanks.
Good. We're here for the preview for Man United against Crystal Palace. This has become a must-win game, hasn't it?
Well, yeah, our destiny's still in our own hands, and we know what we need to do. And look, it's a setback. Shit happens. Deal with it. See all the moaners out in force last night. Jesus Christ. I'd rather be still with your destiny in your own hands than still being 2, 3, 5 points behind.
Yeah.
Because over the last few games, we've gained. We've come level on. We've come from behind. We're level. Now we're only a point off on goal difference as well, off Champions League. So, chill, man.
What about you? Do you share Andy's optimism there?
Yeah, I mean, some people are saying like it's the end of the world, like we should have probably won. I mean, yeah, we should have probably won, and there was chances to win that game. But in the end, at the end of the day, we're still level in points with Leicester. We still get top 4 if we win all our last 3 games. So the fact is, we just got to move forward now.
Yeah, I woke up this morning with a much different feeling around the whole thing. Last night obviously felt like a loss because last minute equalisers against you feel like losses, last minute equalisers for you sort of feel like wins, don't they? But you wake up this morning, you actually sort of assess the situation, like you said, Andy. It's still in our hands. We've made up, 5 or 6 points on Leicester since the start of
We were
Project Restart.
up to 8 points behind just before lockdown.
So, you know, it's actually a really good position we find ourselves in. There are a few sort of downsides that we'll come to in terms of injury as well that's creeping in. That's the first we've had of that for a little while. But generally, this is a position that if you'd have told us in February we would be in, we would all have been stunned and we'd have bit your hand off for, isn't it? So it's not, it's not the end of the world by any means. And Southampton, good side. So let's talk a bit about those injuries then. Luke Shaw last night, the first one, ankle went. You saw that. What did you think to that?
Yeah, I cringe when I say that. I just hope he's not damaged any ligaments or anything. Or it's just it's a sprain or something that can be nursed. Maybe it can be if he can straps up, or is it worth playing him? You got Sunday in mind as well. Just rotate it a bit.
Also, yeah, even if it is a sprain and he's out for a couple of weeks, then he'd still be back for Europa or that kind of thing. Because you saw his ankle proper like bent underneath him, didn't it? What did you make of that one?
I didn't realise what he'd done at first, and then it was obviously like, because when he was just running, I was like, oh, he's just been cropped, maybe it's a foul. But then I saw it, I was like, oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for him because obviously, like, Luke Shaw's really been, his career's kind of been stop and started. Like, he's always seemed to have got back to where you thought Luke Shaw should be, and then he's got an injury. And I mean, luckily, it's not as serious as the leg break that we saw.
Well, hopefully.
Yeah, that was 10 times worse, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's not going to be as bad as that.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
It could still be 6 months out with ankle ligament damage if it is as bad as it looks.
So we just got to hope that that's not another stopping and start again with Luke Shaw.
Because he just seemed to hit another level, I thought, in the last few games. A lot more overlaps getting him behind. We saw against Sheffield United. We saw against Bournemouth as well. A lot more getting him behind and making chances, which is something that I think he'd come back to form. He'd got a bit of confidence playing centre-back sometimes. He was playing the left-back as well before lockdown. But after lockdown, he seems to have hit another level in terms of his attacking as a fullback. And it's a shame to lose him as well. And then obviously Brandon Williams came on. Lost him to it looked like quite a nasty cut with no replays of that one. So you sort of think that it might be a bit of a bad one.
Yeah, he was bleeding a bit when he saw it. Maybe did he go concussion or something?
Yeah,
did the hospital overnight?
Yeah.
Maybe did he go? Or did he Carrington? He went to Carrington.
It was one of them. He looked a bit wobbly, didn't he? When he was going off the pitch, sort of head down, looked not quite steady on his feet. Are you concerned of a concussion? Maybe a couple of weeks out with that.
I feel like with head injuries now, it's always there's the precaution no matter what. Like he's been smacked in the head. Like I saw some of the pictures, he was pouring with blood. Like it was a proper bad hit. So you've got to take into account that maybe he's got something there. So you've got to at least give him a game. I'd say maybe I can't remember if concussions like 10-day rest.
But who was it when they were like falling over and could barely stand up and went back on the pitch? I don't know if it was for United or for another team. And then they came off. They looked like they were going to throw, and then they barely could stand up.
Something happened in the Bundesliga the other. This I think last month, a player got concussed in the Bundesliga, and he played on for 10 minutes, and he asked the referee, "Where am I?"
Yeah,
I think it was a Bundesliga match. It might be Borussia Dortmund against Cologne or something, but it was mentioned.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing with football. Like a lot of other sports that are used to concussions, a little bit more like American football and that kind of thing, where concussions are pretty commonplace. They have much better protocols for concussion. They know what they're doing. If you've got signs of concussion, you come off, you've got 10 days off or whatever it is. In football, it still seems sort of like, I wouldn't be too surprised if Brandon played against Palace and we're just sort of like, oh, it was fine.
I mean, I feel like with American football as well, there's like the thing is with American football, if you get injured, there is about 3 other players that are already there that you can easily just.
Yeah, and when you're switching one player of 15 or whatever it is out, it's not.
Whereas like last night, if Brandon Williams was like, oh, I won't play on, he probably was thinking.
A bit of a difference with American football when you got all the gear on wearing that. You know what I mean?
The
hell of a difference.
The collisions are a lot harder than American football, aren't they? So the gear don't always help them. But do you just think that, I don't know, are we going to see maybe Dallow on that side, maybe Ethan Laird on that side? First time he's played since, was it what was the game in the group stage of the Europa League where
can't remember now.
We played everyone. That game that we lost anyway in the Europa League group stage where
Astana.
That was it. We might see Ethan Laird on that side for the first time since that game. What do you think to Ethan Laird? Do you think he's got a decent chance of playing?
I think he's been kind of positioned around the first team, and like since lockdown returned, I think they've said he was training with the first team. So, in terms of scenarios that, not to say that he probably wanted it to happen, but in terms of scenarios that will get Ethan Laird playing football, this is probably up there with that sort of thing. I mean, we've seen Dallow can play on the left.
Yeah,
that's the sort of the go-to option. But in the sense of who do you have then? I mean, Laird will definitely make the bench.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of a given now. But I think we should play him because I feel like we've had that progression now, and he has something going forward.
Yeah, he's very good.
That I've definitely seen in terms of like youth football.
Yeah. Do you think are you expecting just to see Dallow on that side, or do you think Solskjaer will take that risk and maybe put Laird in there?
He might put him in, like I say. If Matt Busby once said, if they're young enough to play, they're good enough, aren't they? So play it. Just give him a chance. Like it might refreshing. The squad needs a bit of a refresh for Thursday, definitely. So I don't see why not. But it's the boss's decision.
Yeah. I think I would be surprised if he. I would love to see Ethan Laird play, and I think there's a chance that he'll play. But I would be surprised if it wasn't Dallow, because he's been on the bench. He's been in that first team picture a lot more, hasn't he? And obviously Laird as well is traditionally a right back, and I know he can play on the left, but I think Dallow's got more experience on the left, even though he is also a right back, but we've seen him play on the left for United a few times. In the middle then, my sort of concern a little bit is we saw the axis of Matic, Pogba and Bruno, and I thought they all looked really tired toward the end of the game against Southampton, with obviously Pogba and Bruno coming off. Do you think they were brought off to rest them, thinking that we were going to win the match, or do you think they just looked knackered and Solskjaer thought the best chance of us holding on here is to get Fred and McTominay on?
Yeah, I think he's got Thursday in mind and he's trying to settle for what was there on the pitch. Unfortunately, it wasn't to be. But he's got 2 big games now, that Thursday and Sunday. With their Pogba and Fernandes in mind, maybe, like I say, play full strength with them on Thursday. And if you're in a certain position, you're in a good position, then you take them. I take them off. I wasn't happy last night with them both coming off. One or the other should have stayed on.
Yeah, I did think it was a little bit interesting that he took them both off. For me, the fact that he took them both off indicates that it wasn't to rest him. I think it must have been because they were too tired, because we were only 1 goal up, and surely he wouldn't have thought, well, let's take our best 2 players off. That'll help us win, or we've got a chance of winning. I think he must have thought they're really tired. They're actually a detriment being on the pitch. What do you think, Casey? Do you think he was resting them, or do you think if he's taken them both off, then maybe it means that they were just knackered? I
feel like it was a bit of both. I feel like at the end of the game, it ended up having the negative effect. I feel like you look at the possession stats and we plummeted in possession as each one went off the pitch. But I feel like he was looking at Pogba and Bruno and being like, they're taking risks with passes. They're still trying to go forward. If I leave them on, they're going to still try and make the passes. And at this point, like, this is where Southampton are just going to chuck the kitchen sink us, because they had nothing to lose. Like, the big thing that everyone seems to forget about the Southampton game is, like, Southampton had nothing to lose. Like, if they lost, fair enough, they've lost. They're not going to.
There's no pressure to play.
Yeah.
When there's like they play the
They're not
big
scared of
City.
anything.
There's nothing. You just got professionalism and your pride.
Yeah.
And just go out and enjoy the game.
Which can be a bigger catalyst than the fear of losing sometimes, because you always think of players of teams that are sort of got a lot to fight for as being the difficult ones, but often, I think Stephen was talking about it, statistically, it's the teams that have actually got nothing to play for, where they come out, like you said, and they've got their pride and their professionalism, and they can enjoy a game, and like you said, literally nothing to lose. You're not going to lose Europa League spot, you're not going to get relegated.
The scenario
Go for it.
Is that Southampton have already suffered the most embarrassing defeat I think I've ever seen.
Of their history.
A team has suffered in the entire history of the Premier League. There is nothing that could have happened last night that would have made it worse for them.
I know, I mean,
the 9-0 against Leicester.
To
for
come
anyone who
back
doesn't know what he's on about there.
from a 9-0 defeat to Leicester and you're safe in the Premier League with about 3 games to go. It's a feat. It's a feat in itself.
And the
and
good
he's
manager,
a good
and
manager.
some good players. And obviously Danny Ings didn't score, but he was influential for that first goal, picking the ball up off of Pogba for that one. It was a difficult game, obviously. But moving forward, looking at Crystal Palace then, you've had a little look at some of their players and some slightly interesting stats coming out of their players. As we saw, obviously, Paul Pogba getting the ball picked off him and a high press. We struggled against that. There is indications that maybe we may have to worry about getting our pockets picked at the defence in this game.
So I had a look at the sort of the fixtures. I had a look at the team. Benteke is suspended, which is
no problem.
Which is either a blessing or a curse. It depends.
He's not even a striker anymore, is he?
It depends how much you think Lindelof's going to struggle against a tall striker.
I mean, as much as I think Benteke is the sort of the model or the sort of the what's the word? Almost the mould of a striker that Lindelof would struggle against. Benteke has stopped being a striker for about 2 years, hasn't he?
Scored the other week against the Chelsea defence, and he could have had a bit
more.
All
right, Andy, I'll give you that. But
it was a tap-in.
You know what I mean, though?
It was a tap-in.
Since he moved to Liverpool, has scored about 4 goals, and that was 5 years ago.
I still think that Benteke could never live down scoring an overhead kick against Manchester United and still not having the best goal in that match.
I know, yeah.
But I had a look at, they obviously, in the reverse fixture, we lost to a last-minute goal, which is always bodes well after we've just drawn to a last-minute goal. Van Aanholt scored in the 93rd minute.
After Dan James equalising with a sweet chip.
Yeah, left foot near post, wasn't it?
Through the hair.
It was not fun to watch at all because it happened right in front of me at Old Trafford.
Did it?
And then you kind of look at their team going forward. Everyone would say Zaha's kind of their danger man, which is, I mean, that goal against Chelsea was fantastic, but he's not really hit the heights of previous seasons. Weirdly enough, their main man has been Jordan Ayew this season.
Jordan Ayew, ladies and gentlemen, who is, I think, actually quite an underrated player. He's one of those players that you look at and think, well, he's not really that quick and he's decent in there, but he's all right. He's not that great a finisher, but he actually is a proper handful, isn't he?
Yeah, he's got 9 goals so far this season, and the strange stat that you were alluding to, he has 54 fouls.
54! He's fouled 54 people.
Bad boy.
In the second most in the league.
Second most fouls in the league.
Behind Etienne Capoue.
And that seems like a really strange stat because most of the other players, I think there was another attacker in that list, but most of them are defensive players, aren't they? As you would expect, putting the more tackles
I'm pretty sure Ayew also has the statistic for the most fouls in a match without getting a yellow card, which is about 8.
I wonder how many yellows he's got.
He's only on 6.
Not bad. That's only a yellow card every 9 fouls.
And that's a 6-match ban. You get a ban after
I think it's
4 or 5 bookings in a season, isn't it?
Something like that, yeah.
So it's an interesting team.
It is an interesting one because that, again, like I said before, that suggests to me that he's doing a lot of pushing from the front. You know, he's climbing all over people. Any sort of foul that a striker could muster, he's getting there. Does that worry you? Because we saw against Tottenham, the high press. We struggled to break through against Tottenham. We struggled last night, that high press to get through. Obviously, maybe it's only Ayew doing it by himself by the looks of those stats, but he's going to be pressing our back line and forcing those mistakes that we saw yesterday.
Just got to deal with it, mate. It's individual mistakes that cost us last night, and the players have got to learn. You're in the Premier League, mate. You got to learn. You either sink or swim. That's it. You got to be on your ball. We weren't on the ball for the first 10 minutes. Then they scored, and all of a sudden, wow, we're in a game here. Yeah. Bang, bang, 2-1 up. Then they went back into the shell again. So you've got to be on the ball for 90 minutes.
That's what we saw as well. Like you said, we started slowly. We started slowly against Bournemouth. We conceded. We started slowly against Villa. Luckily, we managed to stop them scoring. But that had been a running theme of United, hadn't it? And obviously, he's going to be pressing like an absolute madman and fouling everyone left, right, and centre. Does that worry you for the game?
Yeah, especially I feel like this is where rotation's going to definitely come into it because if you have a lot of high energy and a lot of high pressing, especially with Zaha, Ayew, Andros Townsend, has pulled out some absolute worldies of goals in the past against big teams. Yeah, I'm just going to reference the one against City because great goal and also funny. But it's one of those difficulties. I think the last game is a bit of an anomaly, and that's not how you say that word. Anomaly. Nope.
Anomaly.
I'm going to annul the rest of the word you've just said it. Because I feel like Southampton...
some shellfish for lunch, his throat's closing up.
Don't say that. Go on. But I feel like Southampton had a very good strategy, whereas they looked like they were going to shoot, but they always looked for the spare man. which played into the first goal, because if you noticed, when Redmond would have shot, any of our players would have shot, he chipped it over to Armstrong. And I'm sure the more I've watched it, that Bednarek heads that on purpose when it goes up in the air.
He's nodding it on rather than trying to score.
I feel like because in the post-match interview, Michael Obafemi said he was told to stand in that area.
Yeah, well, we saw as soon he came on at a corner, didn't he? And stood straight on De Gea. Yeah. Stood at that back post De Gea area.
And also, that was the point where Lindelof had to deal with two people because Brandon Williams wasn't on the pitch to deal with the other one. So I feel like everyone said it was poor.
They're getting pelters, aren't they? Lindelof. It's not fair.
I can't believe Lindelof's getting stick for that goal yesterday.
And Maguire.
You can maybe blame Matic and Rashford, who were actually on the man who won the ball. But when you're just stood next, if you're a defender and you're stood goal side of your man and you're stood touch tight to him like Lindelof was, and you're both just trying to stick a foot out, that's 50-50 who gets that ball.
It's the wrong side of him. If he was in front of him, he could have. If he played it,
he could have. But if he was in front of him and the ball had gone over his head and then he'd have tapped it in the back post,
Obafemi plays that perfectly because he's offside when the ball's played, but he runs round Lindelof onside as it gets glanced on.
Yeah.
So Lindelof completely marks him properly for the corner, marks them both properly for the corner, but then obviously as soon as the ball comes in, he's in a problem. So
but I just think that if he'd have stood behind him and the ball had come on his chest, he'd have been blamed. If he'd have stood in front of him and the ball had gone over his head, also he had no time to react to the flick on. You've got half a second or whatever it is from the flick on that was 6 yards in front of him to the ball reaching him. He just had to hope his positioning was correct, because once the ball's flicked on, anything can happen. He was goal side of him. He was right on him. He was literally touching him, and they were both just sticking a leg out. I think it's very difficult to blame him there. I would blame, or be more likely to blame, I think it was Martial in front, Rashford on the goal side, and Matic in behind. Who was it who won the header in the box?
Bednarek.
Yeah, Bednarek. Losing headers in your own 6-yard box is the problem for me. I wouldn't blame Lindelof, who was on his man, but it just happened to hit the other guy instead of him. There were problems there, but I wouldn't say Lindelof was the problem. But anyway, looking forward to Crystal Palace then. United are going to struggle, obviously, we've said, with injuries and that sort of thing. Let's have a little look at your team. We'll go through our teams, who we think is going to play in this one, because there are going to be changes now. There's no doubt about that. I doubt Luke Shaw will be fit, although you've alluded to the fact that maybe it could just be a twist. But I think this will be the catalyst for Ole to make a first change. What are you thinking for the team?
I'm going De Gea, Bailey, Lindelof, Maguire. Who else did I put? I can't remember. Wan-Bissaka at the back. Wan-Bissaka at the back. And midfield, I'm going Pogba. Fred and Fernandes, and Dan James on a wing, and Rashford and Martial.
So you're going Bailly at left back?
Yeah.
Okay. So how come you've gone with Bailly over sort of Dalot at left back? Just
he's I would say he's had a bit more game time than Dalot at the moment. You know what I mean? So I'm not seeing much of Dalot in the games that we've played, but he's got a little bit more game time, Eric. So yeah, I'll definitely go with him.
And obviously you've changed the midfield there. Matic, the one coming out, just tiredness, bit leggy.
A bit like tiredness and like you say, fatigue. I mean, with Sunday in mind as well. If you want to get the job done to a certain point and you're in a safe position after a certain amount of minutes, say 20 minutes to go, then rotate. Just play your best players. Remember Norwich City? Oh, well, we'll rest. We'll chop and change everything. Well, 8 changes. Hey, we've got a game here.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Everybody over the battlefield. You know what I mean? So yeah, I just play your best team. And if you're in a safe position, the game's there. You've got the game won. Then change it.
Yeah,
definitely.
And obviously, the other main change you've made there is Dan James coming in for Mason Greenwood.
Yeah, because we don't know how bad Mason is. He could, not stuffing out of anybody. If it was intentional or not. But that's another
challenge on his ankle.
It's. I know he's not that type of player, the Southampton lad, but it's leg break or career ending as well. But I'll just give him a rest because he's got bigger fish to fry. If he's okay for Sunday,
for Chelsea,
definitely.
Still a strong team though, like you said. You're only making a couple of changes there. One of them obviously being forced with the Luke Shaw, Brandon Williams situation, and then the other two just almost like for like, aren't they? Obviously, Mason's been standout
And Dan
recently,
James needs a bit of
but
game time.
Dan James also needs a bit of game time. Yeah.
This could be a time to stake a claim as well.
I thought Andy was like, when you were saying your team, I thought you were going for more Dan James is the defensive winger that Solskjaer's mentioned about him in the past, where he's put himself about. So maybe him playing as a wing back, or maybe with
He can do both. He can drop back and go forward as well, like a bit like Valencia used to do. You know what I mean?
He's got a lot of work, really high work rate, hasn't he? I mean, Mason does get back, but he doesn't quite have that same sort of buzzing intensity in and around our box that Dan James does.
Dan James has got speed, so he can trap back, he can go forward.
Yeah.
If we can hit people on the break, he can run.
And also, he's had a 3 months off, and he's probably only played 60 minutes or so since we've come back. So he must be full of energy, and like you said, for that speed, tracking back, getting forward and back. So hopefully he'll be able to do that. Casey, take us through your team then.
I went with De Gea, obviously.
Surprise.
I went Wan-Bissaka, Bailly, Maguire, and then Ethan Laird. I know I've said Lindelof's mistake, but I feel Bailly might. Yeah. I'm still sticking with my.
Well, Ayu's tricky customer physically, isn't he? As we've already talked about. So yeah, maybe take Lindelof out of the situation.
Laird, Fred, Pogba, Greenwood, Fernandes, Rashford, Martial.
Fred, Pogba, Diamond.
I was saying Fred basically slotting in where Matic has.
Yeah.
And then similar formation of 4-2-3-1.
Okay. So you thinking Greenwood keeps his place? Obviously, he came off. He didn't come off. Did he come off as a sub? He did come off as a sub, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Yesterday, and looked a bit out of sorts after that tackle. Do you think it was the tackle? Do you think it was just we weren't playing very well? He didn't get into the game.
I think he seems to be all right when he was getting about. I feel it was frustration. I feel like they played him a bit out of the game. Like they seemed to focus on pressing him, Pogba, and Fernandes quite a lot, because I feel like Rashford and Martial thrived on it. Like you saw the chance that he created for Rashford when he was getting pressed and he was getting like crowded out. He just thrived and played the ball through.
Yeah.
But I feel like Greenwood's not had that yet, where everyone on the team's been like, get at him, just go into him, just make him understand that he's playing a Premier League side.
Yeah.
Whereas if you've seen the other games, Greenwood's kind of had a lot of space, a lot of time.
Yeah.
A lot of time to figure out what to do. I mean, and he is very good at taking it early, but.
A lot of his goals, you look at the highlights, the goals he scored and a lot of the ones he's set up have been the counter-attack goals, hasn't he? He seems to thrive in those counter-attack situations where his positioning can come into it.
I feel like this was the first game where a team came and went, we're gonna. I don't care if he's 18 years old. I don't care if he's just started his career.
Yeah,
he's a 16-goal striker.
Yeah,
kick him like one.
Yeah,
sort of thing. So,
yeah. And do you think that was a red card yesterday?
I do. I don't agree with Matt Letizier's comments on it. He just was there like, it's definitely not a red card. He's slowing down. I say the one indicator that you know it's a red card is that Romeu doesn't even look at it. He just steps on him and runs away.
Now the ref does nothing. VAR does nothing.
Yeah.
And Letizier's, I can understand he's defending his player, but no.
I mean, for me, I did say on the watch along yesterday that from what we saw of the pictures that I could see why he didn't give it. I can see why he didn't give it red, because his foot wasn't half the ground, and he didn't dive through it. He just sort of stepped into it. It wasn't off the floor. I just thought if you look at but the more I see it, the more you think it's a toss of a coin.
We could have been talking here. Mason out.
He could have easily broken his leg.
Broken his ankle out, and everyone's defending. Yeah. Oh, but he's not that bad. It wasn't intentional. Yeah. Well, we've lost a player. Yeah. We're sorry. Sorry's not good enough, mate.
I agree with that.
We're not at that position.
But I also do think if you do break someone's leg, you should get sent off. Even in that situation, I think that the result, if he'd have broke his leg and he'd had to go off, I would have think, well, it doesn't really matter at that point whether you meant to or not. You've broke his leg, you have to get sent off.
It's still dangerous play.
It's still dangerous play because it's proven to be dangerous. But
in this instance, if it was the United, if it was the opposite way around, we would be absolutely crucified
for defending him.
Yeah. Well, if it was a United player doing it, we would be crucified.
Later on in the match, Greenwood and Jack Stevens jump up for a ball. And, not Greenwood, sorry. Rashford and Jack Stevens jump up for a ball. Rashford's in the air, he lands in a similar way on Stevens' ankle that Romeu, but he was obviously from jumping, so it was definitely not intentional. But you see Rashford, as soon as he does it, it's like, what have I just landed on? What have I just done? And then gets up and sees if Stevens all right.
Yeah,
whereas Romeu literally does it and runs off.
Like he knew that he was trying to get away from something. Anyway, this isn't the Southampton review. This is the Palace review.
They say execution court, is it?
Right, I'll get into my team then, because there's a little bit of crossover with a couple of your teams. I'm going to go with De Gea, I'm going to go with Wan-Bissaka, obviously. Although I thought he didn't have his best game against Southampton. Although sort of no one really did they? I'm going to stick with Lindelof and Maguire. I don't really see any reason to bring Bailly in because I don't actually think he's looked that good since he's come in. I didn't think he looked great against Norwich, especially, and he seems to get drawn out of position a little bit. And then at left back, I'm going to go with Dalot. Just he's the one that's been in and around the first team. I know Laird's been training, but Dallow's on the bench most weeks, and he's the one that does tend to come on when there's injuries, and that is assuming that Luke Shaw and Brandon Williams are both out, which I guess they probably will be. I think Brandon looked a bit groggy, didn't he? Which if he's got a concussion, he can't be playing 3 days later. Then in midfield, I'm going to give Bruno a rest. I think he looked really tired second half. I think he still did a lot of work. He still got an assist. That's the thing with Bruno, isn't it? He looks tired and he looks out of it, but he's still got an assist. But I'm going to go with McTominay and Fred as the holding pair, which we've seen a lot this season. Then Pogba in front of them, playing more as a number 10, get him a couple of goals. And then I'm going to go Marcus on the left. I'm going to take out Mason as well, put Dan James on, bit more energy, bit more legs. And then I'm going to go Martial up front, who I think since lockdown, or maybe even since Bruno came in, has been the best striker in the Premier League. And some of the stuff he's been doing, Martial, the goal against Bournemouth the goal the other day where he was it against Bournemouth where on the counter-attack where he's like on the floor and he picked himself up and won the ball off 2 players and turned and passed it and then went up the other end and scored. The goal yesterday for Martial, collecting the ball with his back to goal. He's only 7 yards out and he's still got his back to goal. He used to try to get a shot away every time there. Back to goal, 2 touches, 3 men round him, passes it off to Marcus and he was sticks in the back of the net, falling over. Proper centre forward striker play. I don't want to give all the credit to Ighalo for this because obviously Martial's turned it, added these things to his game. But it's almost as though he's seen Ighalo come in and thought, oh fucking hell, you can do that as a striker. Like when there's 2 men round you. You don't necessarily have to either try and go past them both or give up. You can fight one off, turn back and pass it. And he seems to be adding so much more.
He's copying him.
Yeah.
He's taking his game.
Yeah, but then on top of the physicality and the strength and the positioning of Ighalo, you've got the touch and the finish and the sort of guile of Martial that he's always had. And he looks absolutely brilliant. And I think I'm glad he got a goal yesterday. He deserved one the other day. And
Ballon d'Or.
Ballon d'Or in a couple of years, who knows?
I feel like
once Messi's gone. But
this is definitely the season where I've seen Martial transition from he's a winger trying to play as a striker to he's definitely a striker.
But even in the last 6 matches, he looks to have gone up a notch.
Yeah.
Post lockdown, he looks to have gone up a notch as a striker, and I just think he looks absolutely brilliant. And obviously, he shouldn't be too tired.
It's what you do when you believe in a player, give him a bit of love, give him a bit of respect. You're my number 1 man. Because the previous manager, I want him. I'm not you, my friend, but I respect you. But the previous previous manager wanted him gone.
Yeah. Well, you look through that side. Luke Shaw, who's been much better since lockdown. Jose wanted him gone. Pogba, who's been the catalyst for one of the catalysts for these unbeaten streak we've been on. Jose wanted him gone. Martial, Jose wanted him gone. Rashford, Jose clearly didn't like that much because he was slagging him off even once he'd left and saying he's never going to be a striker, he's not got a finish in. If he was that good, he would have done better after being in the team for 3 years.
Jose's never going to be a manager
all
again.
These things that he was saying, and look, they're our best players. You add Bruno to that list.
Mourinho's obviously not learned because I was talking to one of my mates from uni and he's a Tottenham fan and he was like, no one moves, no one does anything in our team anymore. And I was like, well, let me put it this way: Bergwijn did it in a match. He scores in the match, and then Mourinho comes out in the press conference and is like, I never wanted to sign him. It's an owner's signing. He's not my sort of player. I'm like, well, I'm like, why would you do that?
Jose's just one of them.
Just knock confidence out of someone. It's just.
But it's amazing the difference. You look at the side, and obviously Ole's had 18 months now, but this team, the way this team is playing, and even yesterday when it wasn't the best game, people looked tired, we made some sloppy mistakes. There was still some great passages of play. Martial was still through on goal. Rashford was doing 1-2s with Martial in the box, and the goalie saved it from a yard out. We look great.
Going forward, I steal a line from Steve last night. We're fucking mint.
Yeah, exactly.
Pardon me French, but yeah.
French indeed. But I think give Mason a rest. I don't know if that ankle bothered him. Even if it didn't, he's played a lot of games in a row, having not really ever played that many games in a row before. And I'd love to see Laird like you've gone for there, but I'm not entirely convinced that we are going to see that. What are you thinking for a score prediction then?
Obviously, I think it'll be a 2-1 for United.
It's going to be tough, isn't it?
Yeah, but I said we've got a good record down there. So, I think we'll get 3 points and we'll see what happens come this weekend with the other results.
Who are you thinking scorers?
Well, the Avengers, two of the Avengers of Rashford and Martial.
Yeah. They're looking good, and I'm glad that Rashford got a goal in open play yesterday as well, because obviously he'd only scored the penalty since we come back, but good positioning, good finish on his left foot yesterday. So Andy's going 2-1, Casey?
I'm going to be optimistic. I think we'll get back to win anyways. I think it'll be a 3-0. I think it'll be I'll get back to that three goals.
3-0 he's going for.
It's a magic number.
Exactly.
I think it's going to be 2 from Fernandes and 1 from Greenwood.
I think for me, this is a really big test of how far this team's come. I know it's a cliche beyond cliches at this point, but it's how you react when you lose points and you drop points. And that Southampton game was such a big match. It was the chance to go third after this incredible run of unbeaten games that still kept us in fifth, and we sort of bottled it to a certain extent. We did a little bit. In this one game, we were ahead, and we did bottle it a touch.
Schwarzenegger said it best. Shit happens, deal with it.
It does happen, and that's what I'm saying. I think they will deal with it. So I'm going to go 1-0, squeak it out, just squeak one out, 1-0 win.
Just squeak it. Just
What? That's my prediction. You've only gone 2-1. He's the one that's gone 3-0. He's the one that's excited.
I'm optimistic. I'm happy.
I think it's going to be
I think it's goal fest.
I think it's going to be tough. I agree with you, though. I think it'll be one of Martial or Rashford that scores. Probably Martial. I think he's looked really good. But if they can respond to this, win the game, obviously we've got Leicester to watch tonight as well. There's a chance that we could be going into fourth if we win, depending on goal difference. I mean, even if Leicester win tonight, if we win by your kind of scoreline, we will be going for fourth. So it's very exciting. We're still there or thereabouts.
I'm still saying dark horse Wolves. You could get that shootout on that last day of the season.
They're not that far off, are they?
4 off us, 5 off Chelsea.
And they got to play Chelsea.
And Liverpool's got to play Chelsea, so...
That's a good, very
Leicester's
good
got to play Tottenham, Sheffield United and us, so...
Yeah, imagine if it was Liverpool, City, United, Wolves, top 4 and Chelsea and Leicester dropped out. That would be fantastic, wouldn't it? That would be absolutely fantastic.
4-way, baby, last day of the season.
4-way on the last day of the season. You heard it here first. We'll be
and
back,
that's not
of course.
The watch along.
Shut up. We'll be back, of course, for all the build-up to that match. We're all, I say confident. We're all expecting wins. Let us know what you think in the comments. Let us know what you think we're going to see from the team. I'm guessing it's not going to be unchanged again, is it? There seems to be problems with injuries and fatigue. So give us your team predictions. Give us your score predictions in the comments below. Thank you very much for joining me, Andy. Thanks for coming down. Thanks for joining us, Casey. We'll see you in a bit.